Suikoden as a franchise is getting an anime, it's getting a new game, and Konami is interested in potentially making it a new big AAA modern day franchise. And if you tried to tell me any of that a month ago, I would have had you committed to an insane asylum. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including my coverage of suddenly, kind of up-and-coming classic JRPG series, like the very much lauded for good reason Suikoden series, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So yeah, a little bit of a news roundup video today. We've been covering Suikoden quite a bit in the last week and a half or so since the remaster came out. I've been streaming it quite a bit, my video with some tips for newcomers and people returning to the franchise for the first time in potentially decades, has been doing very, very well, so thank you for that. And we've also had a lot of interesting little bits of information that have come out, none of which really deserve or have enough information for their own video, so I figured I'd put it all together here before I have my next guide out. So yes, if you didn't know, we have a confirmed anime for Suikoden 2. We've also have rumblings of, new manga and stage plays and concerts and things like that. I haven't been able to see too much information about that, but it's been reported here and there. We have a fully new mobile Suikoden, Star Leap, that's going to be coming out. We'll talk about that in a second. If you recoiled in your chair, hold on. We have some good news about that, so could be pretty good. And yes, the fact that, hey, potentially a full AAA push for this franchise, which for all intents and purposes has been dead for years, there's a lot to talk about. So first off, it seems like the remaster is doing very well. We don't have any specific sales numbers or anything for it quite yet, but just the social media presence, the chatter and buzz around these games has been extremely positive. Everyone seems extremely happy with how everything was fixed up here. It feels great to play, and both old fans and new fans are coming together and having an absolute blast. The amount of love that I've been seeing in my comments and in my streams, all the positivity I've been seeing on places like Reddit and Twitter with way bigger creators than me, who I would have had no idea were even aware of this franchise, are lauding it and talking about how it's one of their favorite things that they played when they were a kid, and they're so happy to be able to play it again now and show it off to people, which is exactly how I feel. So I would not be surprised if we saw some very positive sales numbers once the next earnings quarter is wrapped up and we get all of those different calls and information that comes out. So fingers crossed for that, because of course, if the remaster does well, then remasters or re-releases of the other 3 games, probably, that would be awesome, and it certainly seems like a possibility given everything we've been told about thus far. As part of that push to try and make Suikoden a staple of their wheelhouse, Konami has announced all of these different ongoing projects. We haven't seen too much about them yet, but we did get a single shot of the Suikoden anime, which is, of course, the iconic scene of Jiao and Ryu jumping off of the waterfall at the beginning of Suikoden 2. Looks really nice. It's being handled in-house by Konami themselves. I'm not too familiar with what other things they've worked on in the past, so we'll have to see how that's going to shake out, but I'm extremely excited to see it. I'm a little sad that they're skipping over the first game because it's my favorite, and, its events set up the events of the second game, but, I mean, I get it. I know the second game is the much more popular of the two, so fair enough, and it's a perfectly fine entry point story-wise. We've learned a lot more about Star Leap, the new mobile Suikoden that's going to be coming out, and again, we'll talk about that. What's interesting is that this is actually a prequel to the first game, and we've already seen from the preview material that's out there a lot of familiar characters like Odessa and Humphrey that show that this is definitely not taking place very long before the events of the first game. So I would not be surprised if this was kind of like the formation of the Liberation Army, the downfall of Emperor Barbarossa that leads to those types of events, and I'm really excited to see what familiar faces show up and what new faces we get introduced to. Now, I'm kind of worried about the fates of a lot of those new characters since, canonically they're not in the first or second game, so we'll have to see exactly how that works, but still, it is really nice to hear that we're actually going to be having something that kind of fills out that section of the history of the franchise that is so good, but has so much yet to be explored. In particular, the producer Rui Naito was saying that a lot of the same team that developed Suikoden 1 and 2 is still at the studio, so they feel that there's going to be a really strong connection story-wise to the overall franchise, that it's going to feel like it fits, which I'm extremely happy about, because I do think the character writing and the overall world building and storytelling of the franchise is some of the best out there, and a lot of people have been echoing that sentiment as they've been playing the remasters, either for the first time in a long time or just the first time in general. Now, of course, with this being a mobile game, there was immediate concerns over any sort of gotcha elements, things being included that were going to make it very predatory, and it was stated that the game was going to be a gotcha game. However, producer clarified, all of the 108 Stars of Destiny, the main characters of the game who are very story important, will all join the party as part of a traditional Suikoden style. You will get them over the course of the game. You'll probably have to run around and recruit them, figure out how to get specific people, but they're not going to be part of the gacha system. You will just recruit them, they'll become part of your army, and that'll be that, just like we've experienced for the last 5 games. The gacha elements and other microtransactions are more for side stuff. Like, apparently characters from other games are going to be able to be summoned with gacha, which is like fair enough, you know, I guess. Like, why not? If you got to have a monetization model in there somehow, I guess that's a fun way to do it with like guest characters. And then other things like ways to speed up the development of your castle, which we have to see exactly what that entails, because the development of the castle is also just a standard gameplay thing in all of the franchise, so we'll see exactly how that shakes out. But for me personally, at the very least, knowing that the main cast is going to join you in a traditional way, no gacha allowed, that is very nice. It is very reassuring, and it's made me a lot more interested to actually see what this new title is going to entail. What else is cool is that the producer wants to be able to add it to other platforms over time. So if you don't feel like playing some things on mobile or anything like that, hopefully we'll see a simultaneous release, or maybe a shortly after the mobile release on things like Steam, right? Think of like Sword of Convalaria, how that worked, or Genshin Impact even. They're on mobile, they're on PC. Genshin is on at least PS4 and I think Xbox, and PS5, of course, obviously. I don't know that Sword of Convalaria will be, but it is something that has been happening more and more, and I personally would love to be able to play it on PC. The game does look beautiful, the graphics look phenomenal, and I can only imagine that the soundtrack is going to be top-notch, and I assume the writing will be extremely good as well. So right now, things are looking very positive for Starleap, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye on it and reporting on it as we learn more about it. All told, I'm extremely excited and extremely happy about this new sudden revival era of the Suikoden series. We'll have to see if all of Konami's ambitions are able to come to fruition, but I absolutely will be paying attention to it, and I highly encourage that all of you do as well, because there's a lot of such strong potential here. And that's even coming from someone who hasn't had the chance to play 3 through 5. I've only played the first 2 games, but that alone cemented my adoration for these games from the time that I was a kid, and that has not faded. In fact, I think I've gotten stronger since then, and a lot of people have been saying the same thing recently. So if you were not aware, that is the current news on what is happening in the world of Konami and Suikoden. I, of course, will be keeping an eye on all of this and reporting on it as we learn more about any and all of it, especially stuff that's related to the games, because that's what we do here. So if you would like to make sure that you stay on top of that news, especially if you hadn't heard about any of this until I told you about it, then again, consider checking out the channel, sticking around for a little while. I would very much appreciate the support. For now, though, that's all that I have here. Let me know your thoughts about all these different developments, all the different things that has been announced. What do you think you're going to play? Starleap? Are you going to check out the anime? Some of these other things, like apparently the new manga and concerts and all that type of stuff. How do you feel it's going to go? Are you excited for this revolution of Suikoden? Because I know I am. Start up a conversation in the comments so we can see what people have to say. And until the next time, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.